You know the feeling, right? Like you're preparing for a new baby and suddenly the nursery starts looking less like a bedroom and more like a, I don't know, a high-tech command center.
Oh, absolutely. It's wild.
You've got the smartphone connected oxygen monitors, those specialized woven polymer fabrics, the perfectly engineered sleep pods that look like they belong on a space station.
Right. Yeah, like you're launching them into orbit.
Exactly. And it feels like if you just buy the right equipment, if you just spend enough money, you can engineer away all the risk.
Well, yeah, because it's the ultimate illusion of control.
Yeah.
I mean, we want safety to be a tangible product we can just, purchase, plug into the wall, and stop worrying about.
But you look at the clinical data and that instinct to just gear up, it completely backfires. Because
Okay.
when it comes to infant sleep, the safest environment isn't a command center at all. It's actually, well, it's a completely empty space.
Right. Which is terrifying for a lot of parents.
It is. So today, for this deep dive, we are tearing down the what we're calling the baby industrial complex. We want to figure out why spending thousands of dollars on sleep tech might actually be putting infants at risk.
And we are pulling from a pretty intense stack of data to do this. I mean, we're looking at the latest AAP guidelines and NIH research, and we're balancing the clinical side with some rigorous, no BS consumer guides.
Yeah, from bloggers like Money Talk Mal and safety advocates at Leaf Score and the Peanut Shell.
Exactly. Because we really have to figure out where the medical reality ends and, well, the marketing panic begins.
So let's start with a massive reality check. Before we even get into the gear, we have to look at how you or, your friends, your neighbors are actually putting babies to sleep in the U.S. right now.
The baseline now.
Right. And the NIH surveyed nearly 20,000 caregivers, and the numbers are they're jarring. Nearly 55% of U.S. infants are still placed to sleep with potentially unsafe bedding.
Wow.
Yeah, 55%. Blankets, quilts, padded bumpers.
That is a staggering statistic, especially considering the history of the Safe to Sleep campaign. I mean, we know the initiative, which launched back in 92, it slashed the SIDS rate by 50%.
50%, which is a massive public health victory, so we know what works.
Right.
But to have 55% of babies still in unsafe environments today, I mean, it's like knowing exactly where the potholes are on a road, but more than half the drivers they just keep driving right into them anyway.
Yeah.
Why? Like, is it just sheer exhaustion? Or are we talking about the pressure of those perfect aesthetic Instagram nurseries, showing cribs full of plush toys and beautifully layered throw blankets?
Well, it's really a combination of that aesthetic pressure and generational advice from well-meaning relatives who raised kids in the 80s,
Right.
and immense marketing guilt.
Right, that you must buy this to be a good parent guilt.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And to understand why that fluffy quilt your mother-in-law knitted is statistically dangerous, we really have to look at the AAP's triple risk model for SIDs.
Okay, so break that down for us.
So, SIDS is proposed to occur when three specific factors overlap. First, the infant has an intrinsic vulnerability.
Like an underlying biological issue, say a brainstem defect that impairs their ability to wake up or control their heart rate if oxygen drops.
Right. And you obviously have no way of knowing if your baby has that.
Yeah.
You just can't control it.
Right, totally invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second factor is a critical developmental period. For SIDS, we're mostly looking at the first 6 months of life.
Because they're growing so fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The baby's bodily systems are rapidly changing. They're neurologically unstable. But again, you can't control time. You just have to, survive this period.
So, okay, if I can't control their biology and I can't fast forward time, I mean, the only piece of this puzzle I can actually control is their environment.
Yes. The outside trigger. That is the exogenous trigger event.
Exogenous trigger, okay.
Yeah, an outside stressor that a vulnerable baby during that critical developmental window just cannot biologically handle. Soft bedding, overheating, airway obstruction.
Ah, I see.
You've hit the nail on the head. The exogenous trigger is the singular factor you have absolute control over.
Which puts an immense amount of pressure on the sleep environment. And I know the most fiercely debated topic in this whole space is where exactly you should physically put the baby during the night.
Oh, without a doubt.
We're talking about the co-sleeping versus bed-sharing debate because, let's be real, extreme exhaustion heavily dictates those choices. Now, the AAP highly recommends room sharing for at least the first 6 months.
Meaning the baby is in the same room as you, but on a completely separate surface.
Right. And doing just that decreases the risk of SIDS by up to 50%, which is huge.
It is huge. Room sharing is fantastic for proximity. We know from studies compiled on bedside sleepers that there are profound biological benefits to being close.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, infants who sleep near their parents breastfeed approximately 3 times longer during the night. They also spend significantly less time crying.
Because you're right there.
Exactly. You can respond to early hunger cues before the baby fully wakes up and goes into distress.
Okay, so proximity is great, but surface sharing is a totally different beast. The AAP strongly advises against bringing the baby into the adult bed, and the data on how the risk multiplies it's terrifying.
Yeah, the AAP notes bed sharing multiplies the baseline risk of SIDs by over 10 times if the adult is impaired.
10 times. And impaired doesn't just mean alcohol or medications, right?
Right. No, it means extreme fatigue, which describes literally every new parent.
Yeah, for real.
It's also a 10 times increased risk if you smoke, or if you're on a soft surface like a waterbed, a sofa, or an armchair.
So let's say you're a non-smoking parent, you're breastfeeding your 4-month-old. Even in that absolute best case scenario, bringing them into your bed carries a 5 to 10 times higher risk than placing them in their own crib.
Yeah. We have to separate the biological benefits of being close from the mechanical dangers of surface sharing. Because the adult bed introduces the risk of overlay, rolling onto the baby. You also have wedging between the mattress and a wall, and the risk of the baby rebreathing trapped carbon dioxide from your adult pillows and heavy duvets.
Wait, hang on. The AAP says falling asleep in a chair is dangerous, but if it's like 3 a.m. and I'm practically hallucinating from exhaustion and I'm terrified of bringing the baby into my bed because of those statistics, what am I supposed to do?
It's a really tough spot.
It feels like every option is a trap. Like if I feel like I'm about to nod off while feeding, where am I actually supposed to go?
The medical data is definitive here. Statistically, it is much safer for you to fall asleep in the adult bed than on a sofa or armchair.
Wait, really? The bed is safer than the couch?
Yes. Sofas and armchairs pose a 22 to 67-fold increased risk of infant death.
67-fold?
Yeah.
That is, wow.
Yeah. Babies get easily wedged between cushions or against the padded back of the chair, so if you feel yourself falling asleep, clear your adult bed of all pillows and blankets and sleep there. But, and this is crucial, the directive is clear. Return the baby to their own flat surface the absolute moment you wake up.
Which is why products like sidecars have become such a massive compromise, right? You get a bassinet with one lowered wall that securely attaches to your adult bed.
Exactly. You get the proximity for feeding, but the baby stays in their own dimensional space off your mattress.
So assuming they meet the strict CPSC safety standards, sidecars solve that biological need for closeness while entirely bypassing the mechanical risks of the adult mattress.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay, so we've mapped out the ideal setup, but let's be real. When you're terrified of SIDs, you turn to the baby industrial complex, you start looking for highly marketed specialty products to, buy your way out of anxiety.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone does.
And this is where the marketing often introduces its own hidden dangers, like the biggest offender right now, breathable crib mattresses.
Oh, you see the ads everywhere. Marketers claim these woven polymer cores dissipate carbon dioxide and heat. They lean really heavily on parental fear, implying this, expensive mattress is a safeguard against suffocation.
Right, but you read the breakdown from LeafScore, and the truth behind this marketing is just infuriating. There is zero evidence that breathable mattresses reduce SIDs. None.
Ditto.
It's like slapping the word all natural on a box of processed sugar. It sounds healthy, gives you a false sense of security, but the term isn't regulated in any meaningful medical way.
And in some cases, it actually creates a hazard.
Wait, hazard? How?
Well, highly porous materials, things like tea tree bark or buckwheat hulls, marketed as natural and breathable, they can actually trap carbon dioxide instead of dispersing it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, LeafScore points out that buckwheat hulls shift around. If your baby rolls over, their face could get pressed into a soft, sunken pocket of the mattress, restricting airflow entirely.
So the subliminal message is the real danger there. It implies that if you drop $400 on this magical mattress, you can safely put your baby to sleep on their stomach.
Which blatantly violates the most fundamental rule of infant sleep safety. I mean, the AAP is uncompromising. Back to sleep for every sleep. Period.
I always hear parents worry about that, though. They worry that a baby sleeping on their back is going to choke if they spit up. You see the fluid and your instinct says to turn them over. Why is back sleeping actually mechanically safer?
It really just comes down to plumbing and gravity.
Plumbing.
Yeah, plumbing.
Yeah.
When an infant is on their back, Their trachea, the windpipe leading to the lungs, lies directly on top of the esophagus, which is the tube leading to the stomach.
Okay.
So if the baby spits up, that stomach fluid has to work against gravity to climb up and into the windpipe. It's incredibly difficult for them to aspirate.
Ah, I get it. But if you flip them onto their stomach, that anatomy reverses. The windpipe is now underneath the esophagus.
Exactly. If they spit up, the fluid naturally pools right at the opening of the airway, making choking infinitely easier.
Pure plumbing. Back is best. Always.
Always.
Speaking of heavily marketed trends preying on exhausted parents, let's talk about weighted blankets, weighted swaddles, and weighted sleepers. They are relentlessly pitched as the secret to getting your baby to sleep through the night.
And the AAP explicitly states they are not safe and should never be used.
Never used. Yeah.
Never. An infant's chest wall is incredibly pliable and underdeveloped. Placing any localized weight on their chest restricts their mechanical ability to expand their lungs and breathe deeply.
So you are actively fighting their respiratory system for the sake of an extra hour of sleep. That's scary.
It really is.
Okay, so if breathability is a marketing gimmick and weighted sleepwear is banned, what actually makes a sleep surface safe? Let's get into the chemistry and the raw mechanics of the crib.
The foundational AAP rule is that a sleep surface must be firm, flat, and non-inclined. An incline of more than 10 degrees is fundamentally unsafe, and we have to banish adjustable firmness or memory foam completely.
But memory foam feels so premium to us, though. It feels supportive. Why is it dangerous for a baby?
Because it conforms to the body. You have to remember, firmness isn't about orthopedic comfort. It's a mechanical airway protection.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, if a surface is truly firm, it will not indent. That means if your baby accidentally rolls over onto their stomach, they physically cannot create a pocket in the mattress.
And without a pocket, they won't rebreathe their own exhaled carbon dioxide.
Exactly.
That completely demystifies firmness for me. It's not about back support. It's about preventing CO2 pooling. Now, going back to those breathable mattresses for a second, LeafScore points out a massive, frankly gross functional flaw. To be breathable, a mattress is inherently not waterproof. Air has to flow through it.
Right, which means liquids flow through it too.
So the inside of the mattress is entirely exposed to microbial contamination. Spit up, pee, diaper blowouts. It sinks into the core and becomes a breeding ground for mildew and mold.
Yeah, it's not great.
And if you try to fix that by wrapping it in a waterproof cover, you immediately negate the breathability you just paid hundreds of extra dollars for.
Yeah, you've just turned your expensive breathable mattress into a standard waterproof one.
Which is exactly why I love the perspective from parent blogger Money Talk Mel. Instead of getting caught up in the breathability hype, her deep dive prioritizes avoiding toxins. She points you toward Okikotech's standard 100 certifications.
Yes, this is a vital standard. Okotex tests every single component of a textile, the fabric, the thread, the zippers, for over 1,000 harmful substances. They use a 4-tier product class system.
And product class 1 is the one you want, right?
That's the one.
It has the strictest human ecology requirements, specifically designed for babies and toddlers. And let's actually explain what human ecology means in this context, because, I don't know, it sounds like corporate jargon.
It does a bit, yeah.
But it's real. A baby's skin is incredibly thin, and they sweat. That sweat can actually leach chemical dyes and finishing treatments out of a cheap mattress cover or sheet. And those chemicals bypass the skin barrier directly into their bloodstream. Okotex tests for exactly that leaching process.
So if you're looking for actual biological safety, look for that Okotex Class 1 label, not an unregulated marketing term like breathable.
You know, I like to equate preparing the crib to building a safe room. You need the concrete foundation, that's your firm, flat mattress to prevent CO2 pockets. You need the moisture barrier, a tightly fitted waterproof cover to prevent mold, and you need a secure contact layer.
The sheets.
Right. The Peanut Shell Bedding Guide says you need 3 to 5 tightly fitted sheets to keep up with newborn leaks. Microfiber, organic cotton, bamboo, they're all great, provided they fit snugly over the mattress and pad so the fabric absolutely cannot bunch up and pose a suffocation risk.
Right.
So foundation, moisture barrier, contact layer, and absolutely nothing else.
No bumpers, no pillows, no sleep positioners, no loose blankets, nothing.
Okay, you say no loose blankets, but let's be realistic about winter. Babies get cold. If the AAP bans loose blankets, how do we keep them warm without violating the safe room protocol?
You adjust their clothing, not their bedding. The safest method is using wearable blankets, often called sleep sacks, or simply dressing the baby in breathable layers. The rule is to keep the environment clear and modify what the baby is actually wearing.
That makes sense. So we've mapped out this perfect, flat, firm crib. But babies rarely adhere to our nursery schedules. They fall asleep in the real world. At the grocery store, in the car, in the living room swing. Does that firm, flat rule still apply when we're in transit?
It does, and this is where we have to drastically separate transit devices from sleep devices. The AAP explicitly warns against using sitting devices for routine sleep, and this includes car seats, strollers, and infant swings.
I was reading this breakdown by Money Talk Mel, and she pointed out something that completely shifted my view on car seats. Parents will agonize for weeks over which infant car seat to buy, like the Chico Key Fit, the Nuna Pipa, the Duna.
Oh yeah, the registry stress is real.
But she points out a vital fact. While all of these must pass the federal 30-mile-per-hour frontal collision test to be sold legally, they are engineered strictly for transit. They are not standalone bassinets for your living room floor.
No, they aren't. And the core danger here is positional asphyxia.
Explain that.
Well, infants have disproportionately heavy heads and very weak neck muscles. Sleeping at an incline in a sitting device allows their head to slump forward, pinning their chin to their chest. Because their airway is soft, kind of like a paper straw, this position silently compresses their airway and cuts off oxygen.
Silent being the most terrifying word there. And in June 2021, the CPSC mandated that any infant sleep product must meet existing federal safety standards for flat cribs and bassinets.
Yeah.
So they essentially outlawed inclined sleep products and hammocks.
Which was a huge step for safety. But as a deeply frustrated parent, let's say I've been driving for an hour. The baby has been screaming, they finally fall asleep in the car seat, and I pull into the driveway. Are you telling me I have to unbuckle them and wake them up just to move them inside?
I completely validate the pain of waking a sleeping baby. It feels wrong.
It feels like a crime.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
But the AAP guidance stands firm. You must move them to a flat, safe surface as soon as is practical. Car seats are marvels of engineering designed to keep your baby alive in a high-speed crash. They're not designed for safe, unsupervised sleep outside of the vehicle.
Okay, fair enough. So if we can't use gear for sleep, what about the high-tech gear designed specifically to monitor them while they sleep, like those home cardiorespiratory monitors?
Oh, the foot sensors.
Yeah, you strap a little sensor to their foot, it measures heart rate and oxygen levels, and sends an alert to your smartphone. Parents buy these thinking they're bringing NICU-level monitoring into their home.
They are incredibly popular, but you really have to look at how they are regulated. They are sold under an FDA designation as consumer wellness devices. They are not classified as medical devices.
Interesting.
And the AAP states clearly that there is no evidence these monitors reduce the risk of SIs.
Money Talk Mal actually skipped them entirely in her guide. She noted that they often just lead to dangerous parental complacency, like, you think the monitor is watching the baby, so maybe you let them sleep on their stomach.
Exactly. Or, on the flip side, you get extreme anxiety from constant false alarms when the sensor slips.
Right, because babies kick.
They do. They provide raw data, but they don't actually intervene to save the baby. However, there is one piece of gear that does actively work to protect the airway, and it's decidedly low-tech: the pacifier.
Wait, really? A basic plastic pacifier?
Yeah. The AAP actively recommends offering a pacifier at nap and bedtime because it significantly reduces the risk of SIDs.
Wow. How does that work?
The exact mechanism isn't entirely understood, but the mechanics of sucking help keep the soft tissue of the airway forward and open. And it alters the baby's arousal threshold so they don't fall into an overly deep sleep.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And that protection lasts even if the pacifier falls out of their mouth after they fall asleep. Just keep in mind, if you are breastfeeding, they recommend waiting until the latch is well established before introducing it.
Okay, so we started this deep dive looking at the nursery as a high-tech command center. We explored the massive, guilt-driven marketing of the baby industrial complex, constantly selling you on breathability, smartphone sensors, and weighted sleepwear.
But the science repeatedly points away from the complex and back to the beautifully simple. Back to sleep. A firm, flat, non-inclined surface. Room sharing without bed sharing. No loose bedding.
Armed with this knowledge, you are practically immune to the marketing hype. You know exactly what matters: the mechanical safety of the airway and the biological benefits of proximity. Whether you are setting up your own nursery, buying a registry gift, or just offering a supportive word to an exhausted new parent, you know the science. You don't have to buy safety.
It is incredibly freeing to realize that the safest option is often the simplest one.
It really is. I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We live in an age where we obsess over micro details. We scrutinize high-tech fabrics. We strap Bluetooth monitors to tiny feet. We spend thousands of dollars desperate to buy our way out of risk. But what if the most advanced, scientifically proven, life-saving environment for an infant isn't something you can buy in a store at all? What if it is simply an empty, flat, firm space right next to you?